So I know the majority of you watching this video are already trying to lose fat. You're in a deficit, you're tracking your food, you're eating your protein, you're getting your steps in, you're doing the workouts. In other words, you've completed phase 1, the physical challenge, getting up, getting out and not eating like a gluttonous pig. And that's great. But phase 1 is a piece of piss compared to phase 2. And that's the part no one talks about. I call it the messy middle, and this is where 98% of men quit. Today, I'm going to break down what it is, explain why it feels so damn hard, and most importantly, show you exactly how to push through it. So full screen the video and let's lock in, lads. The challenge we have these days is that most men think that weight loss is a straight line down from point A to point B. They think that if you eat less and move more every single week, your weight will drop steadily. But that's not how fat loss works at all. You see, rather than straight lines, progress comes in waves. You can lose 10 pounds in 3 weeks and feel like you cracked it. But then 3 weeks later, nothing will have happened and you feel like you're going insane. And this roller coaster is why so many guys quit. They prepared themselves for the physical challenge, but they hadn't prepared themselves for the mental challenge. The reality is, though, the physical part is done in the first 2 to 4 weeks. You calculate your calories, you nail your macros, you go up to 8 to 10,000 steps a day and you work out 3 to 4 times a week. But the mental part is what comes after. Because the reality of fat loss is that you're going to have a lot of weeks where you do absolutely everything right, where you tick every single box, where you hit every single habit, and the scales don't change. Or God forbid, they might even go up. But what's happening is that your body is adapting underneath the surface before it shows. You are losing fat, it's just not visible yet. And a lot of guys quit because they assume that slow equals broken, but it doesn't. The messy middle that we're talking about in this video is simply the gap between you putting in the work and seeing the results. And straight off the bat, I want you to know that not only is it normal and predictable, but literally every single guy, and I'm talking 100%, goes through the exact same journey. The problem we've got is that the majority of guys who are showing you are younger, but the younger guys are made of rubber and magic. And the reality is, once you're over 35, the messy middle hits completely different. So you need to give yourself a little bit of a reality check. You're not 21 anymore. You can't just eat, train, and sleep. You've got work stress, deadlines, responsibilities. The chances are your cortisol is through the roof. You've also probably got kids, a partner, and a mortgage. You've got meals to cook and you've got people relying on you. That means that you've got less time, less bandwidth, and less recovery. And that pressure makes you expect faster results. You think to yourself, and I know this because I've been there too, if I'm putting in this level of effort, I deserve to get faster results. You compare yourself to the younger guys, or even worse, the younger version of yourself. But that is an unfair comparison. Think about it. Did you get here where you are right now overnight? No. It was probably 10 years of bad habits, and years of carrying that extra body weight means it's going to take a little bit of time for your body to respond. Your sleep, your hormones, your digestion, your metabolism, these things are all improving if you're following the basic blueprint of tracking your food, getting your steps in, and doing your workouts. But your body and your brain take time to adjust. You're doing all the right things. You're ticking all the boxes, but the conditions that you're doing them under are harder. So the messy middle now feels more personal, more frustrating, more unfair. The point I'm trying to make here is that you're not failing. You're just operating under harder circumstances than ever before. Back in 2018, I lost 50 pounds in just 4 months, and my journey went exactly like this. There were weeks where the scales didn't move at all. There were even times where the scales went up, despite the fact that I increased my deficit. And trust me when I tell you this, I was a man possessed. In fact, I was making every single mistake that I now coach the guys I work with to avoid. I'd be eating super clean. I was training 6, if not 7 times a week. I was lifting weights. I was running. I was doing HIIT classes. And still, it felt like nothing was changing. And I'll be honest with you, it played with my head. I started feeling like something must be wrong with my body, my hormones, my genetics, my metabolism. Something must have been broken. And there were a lot of days where I stood on the scales and genuinely thought, what is the point? Even when I was 45 pounds down, I still couldn't see my abs. And that pissed me off because in my head, I'd earned them. I'd rebuilt my habits, my routine, my lifestyle. I'd given up the nights out, the boozing, the takeaway food. I was training harder than ever. I was getting more steps in. I was doing absolutely everything right. Everything that all these influencers were telling me to do. And yet they were six-pack shredded, telling me it was easy. And I was crying myself to sleep because I was so hungry. So as you can imagine, I nearly quit, not just once, not just twice, but several times. And the only reason I did it is that there was something in my head telling me to just keep going, to give it another few weeks. And I'm not lying to you. In fact, I will put the screenshots on the screen right now. In 3 weeks, I went from looking pretty average to literally six-pack shredded. So you have to realize that fat loss doesn't reward you instantly. Remember, the universe is like a mirror and it will always show you the efforts that you have been putting in. You might not think it's fair. You might think you deserve more or you deserve faster results, but you don't. I'm not saying that you're not putting in enough work, training hard enough, or eating wrong. I'm just saying that you ain't doing it for long enough, that you can take solace in the fact that you're on the right path and all you need to do is keep on walking. Fat loss rewards you in chunks. It's nothing, 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 and then boom, everything overnight. The payoff always comes, just not when you're expecting it. And I think one of the biggest reasons that so many guys quit in the messy middle is because they don't understand what progress actually looks like. Because let's be honest, the first couple of weeks of a new diet or a new workout program are exciting. You've got a new routine, you've got that spark of motivation. But by week 4 to 6, everything is rinse and repeat. Same meals, same walk every single day, same workouts. It starts to feel dull. Let's be honest, as guys, we hate dull. We need novel stimulus. We need dopamine. We need adrenaline. We need excitement. So it doesn't feel like you're making progress because you're not getting the same stimulus that you were at the beginning. But boredom, funnily enough, is actually the first sign that you're being consistent enough for fat loss to actually work. Meanwhile, under the hood, under the surface, your body is doing more than you realize. You have to remember, as long as you're in that calorie deficit, you're burning fat. But water from salt or stress or food or just inflammation is always going to make you carry more weight and store the weight coming off the scales. So we want to measure success. We want to measure progress in a different way. Consider how your energy levels are, what your skin looks like, your strength in the gym, your digestion, your general mood. And a big one that is so underrated, but I always love my clients to celebrate this one, is their sleep. If you're waking up feeling better about yourself, feeling like you've got more energy, then surely that is a pretty good sign that you're doing the right thing. Because the chances are you're watching this and you're a type A guy. You're a high-functioning, highly driven person. And I know this because I'm exactly the same. And as someone who has achieved 50-pound weight loss in 4 months, let me let you in on a little bit of a secret, a little bit of a reality that you might not want to hear, but I'm going to spoil the fun for you anyway. When you get to whatever your target weight is, you're not going to be that happy. You might be happy for 5 minutes, but after that, your brain is going to click into gear and go, what's next? Because that is how we are wired. We're content, but we're never happy. We're never satisfied. We always want that little bit more, or at least that's how I am. And that's how the guys I work with are. We're always looking for that next level. But because you can't see how your hunger's changing, your digestion, your metabolism, your sleep, your energy, any of these things, because they're not tangible, you can't see them in the mirror, it feels like you're not making any progress. The scales stay the same, your body feels the same, it looks the same in the mirror, so you start second guessing everything. And a lot of men quit here, when in reality, this is the phase when your body is preparing to show you the results. One very good way to think about it, and bear with me because I'm literally just making this up, an analogy up as I go through it in my head and as I say it out loud, is imagine you're putting a pizza in the oven. If you were to just stand by that oven, it's going to feel like that pizza is taking hours to cook. But we both know the reality is a pizza takes 6 to 8 minutes. And if you go away and leave it too long, suddenly it's come back black. So the point I'm trying to make, although I appreciate I've probably not made it in the best possible way, is that you kind of have to set and forget. Put yourself in a deficit, track your food, get your steps in, do the workouts, but then try to put it out of your head. Now, I know that is much easier said than done, but if you do that, if you try to focus on enjoying the process, you'll realize at some point, maybe after a couple of weeks, maybe after a couple of months, but it's not the goal, it's not the target weight that you're actually striving for. It's the better version of yourself, the man that you thought wasn't capable of achieving the hard things that you're now doing. And I promise you, the work that you're putting in now will show later. That's why the hard work isn't even the hard work itself. It's patience. It's turning up daily and doing it even when you don't feel like it, and doing it with a smile on your face. Because at this stage, you don't need a new diet or a new workout program or more discipline. You need a clearer head, because the messy middle is won mentally, not physically. So here's 5 practical tips that are going to help you manage this messy middle phase. Number 1 is you want to track more than the scales and measure your progress and your success in multiple ways, because your strength going up is progress. Your clothes fitting better is progress. You having better digestion is progress. And it's the same with improved sleep, lower cravings, seeing tiny changes in your progress photos, and of course, listening to feedback from other people. This one actually always blows my mind. If you have 3 people in your life telling you that you look like you've lost weight, but you feel like you haven't, you are always more inclined to listen to yourself. Don't listen to the feedback from the universe. You literally have people telling you that you are making progress. I understand why it can be so hard to see that as noise because you're so focused on the mirror. But honestly, I think the problem here is that we're just too close to our own problem. So that's number 1. Number 2 is to expect the timeline to be unsexy, because this isn't a movie. Yes, you are the main character and the hero of your own life, but no one cares, and Hans Zimmer isn't writing the screenplay. Fat loss does not reward you evenly. You'll have 3 dead weeks where nothing happens, and then 1 dramatic week where you drop 10 pounds. That's just how men's bodies work, especially over 35. And then number 3 is to stop moving the bloody goalposts. If you lose a few kilos, don't think, should have been more. Celebrate it. If you have evidence that you are getting stronger in the gym, don't think it's still not enough. Celebrate it. A win is a win. Recognize the progress and use it as a reminder that you are doing it. Because by refusing to acknowledging it, you're just suffocating your own progress. And then number 4 is to focus on the seasons and not the days. There's an amazing quote, which you might have heard me say before, but it's so good, I'm going to say it again. Billionaires think in decades and boys think in days. So many men are hamstringing themselves because they think they deserve better results in a shorter space of time. Reset your expectations. You cannot judge a 6-month phase by 1 bad weigh-in. A football team doesn't bin the whole season because of 1 bad result. Champions get up even when they don't feel like it. So zoom out, because that's where the truth is. And then last but certainly not least, number 5, just accept that boredom is part of the game. Boredom actually equals consistency. Consistency equals mastery, and mastery equals fat loss. The reason that less than 2% of men on planet Earth these days are lean enough to see their abs is not because they're weak or they're not smart enough or anything like that. It's just because they're not patient enough. We do not have an information problem. We have Google, we have YouTube, we have ChatGPT. Everyone's got them and they're all free. What we have is an implementation problem and an expectations problem. The sooner that you stop chasing the results, chasing excitement, the faster the result will actually appear. And if you apply these 5 practical tips, you stop quitting emotionally and you stay in the game for long enough for you to see the results that you've always wanted. There is a point, because I've been there, where the body finally catches up to all the work that you have done in the shadows. And almost every single client who I have coached through this messy middle has had the exact same experience. Stalled for ages, getting stressed, wondering if it's worth it, then boom, big drop, big visual change, massive momentum. And that ultimately is the real value of having a coach, someone to keep you in the game. They don't show Rocky calculating his macros and his calories. They show him doing 1,000 crunches with music in the background and everyone going, "Yeah, Rocky, you got this," shouting in the mirror with all these affirmations and motivational quotes. That's what sells the movie, but that is not what gets the results. It's not sexy, but it is necessary. And here's the other thing. There is no way around it. You can pick any diet that you want, any training method that you want. They all work, but equally, if you're picking one of them because you think it's going to be the shortest or the easiest, you've already failed. Embrace the hard work. Embrace the suck. Accept the fact that it is going to be boring, that it isn't going to be sexy, and that no one is going to care. Because every man who got through the other side, who had that breakthrough, had to go through this phase. So what makes you so special that you should have to avoid it? 98% of men quit here, not because they're weak, not because they're stupid, not because they can't do it, but because they think that the scale's not moving means that nothing is happening. Or worse still, that they've failed. They think that they've hit a wall when in reality, they've hit the doorway. And then they let impatience destroy months of work. The 2% who push through, they're not genetically gifted. They're not more disciplined. They're not lucky. They don't know some magical secret that you don't know. They simply stayed consistent for as long as it took. And if you can outlast your impatience, you will become part of that 2%. And as I said, this is the part where having a coach changes everything. Not because you need someone to hold your hand, not because you need motivation every day, but because when you are stuck in your own head, it's impossible to see your own progress. You convince yourself that you're failing when actually you are just inches away from having a breakthrough. And that is literally what I do with my clients. I keep them in the game for long enough so that they can see their results. I help them stay consistent and stop making emotional decisions that ruin months of hard work. So if you're in that messy middle right now, if what I've been saying to you today really hits the spot and resonates with you, and you know that you can't afford another restart, just click the link under this video so you can find out exactly how my coaching program works. And let's see if you're a good fit. Or if you are brand new to my channel and you just stumbled across this video and you're like, I don't know who this guy is, I'm not ready for his coaching, that's absolutely fine. What I recommend you do is click this video right here, where I'm going to run you through the 5 reasons that your calorie deficit might not be working, and more importantly, what to actually do about it. So click that now, and I'll see you there. Peace.